Welcome to Modern Sages. Today we are going to be exploring the topic of energy. Jenn and I are both energy workers, so this is going to be a really fun topic to discuss. We'll be talking about the aura body and the different layers of energy around our body and how energy works in our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual self. Welcome to Modern Sages podcast.
I'm Jenn Gilbreth.
And I'm Candace Coons.
With over 25 years combined, we have delivered messages from beyond,
explored ancient healing wisdom, and integrated these profound teachings into our everyday life.
We are passionate about creating new ways of being human in the modern age by integrating the wisdom of the past with the present and coming into remembrance of who we truly are.
Are you ready to change your relationship to life itself? If the answer is yes, your journey begins now.
Before we get started, as always, we wanted to talk about what we're drinking today. Today, we are drinking elderberry. Elderberry has amazing benefits. A lot of people know elderberry as elderberry syrup, as what you take during the winter times to prevent flu and cold symptoms. But you can also have, of course, vitamins, supplements. You can have it in a tea as well. So there's so many options, of course, for elderberry as well.
Yeah, and it's cool too, because I didn't know that elderberry actually helps people reduce stress. I didn't know that it's actually a natural relaxant as well. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't really think of it that way because we're using elderberry because we have so many people who are sick right now. So we're like, we probably should be taking some elderberry. But to know, we were doing a little bit of research before our show, and to read that it actually helps reduce stress was really interesting.
Yeah, that is unique.
Yeah. And of course, helps with inflammation again.
Right.
And it's helpful for the heart.
Oh, okay.
Too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. And I have been taking elderberry in a tincture for like the past month every day. And my husband just got a really big cold last week. And I felt a little bit under the weather for a day, but I bounced back so quickly. And this cough that's going around is, once you get it, it's pretty severe.
It's super contagious.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it has to do with that elderberry that I've been taking every morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine if you took the elderberry tincture every day and then made that concoction with the raw honey, cayenne, and garlic?
Oh, yeah.
And took both of those every day? I don't think that anything could get you. I think that would destroy anything that's
Seriously.
bad.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I think it's really important. And I testify, I was shocked that you didn't get sick. I mean, again, is proof of the power of herbs, because you were surrounded by so many people who were sick and you didn't get it. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Never underestimate the power of herbs.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So Candace, let's jump in and talk about energy and how it works, all the things about it. I think that there can be kind of a stigma when it comes to energy or energy work or energy clearing. So I think we should just dive in, and hopefully that will take away anyone's hesitation about what energy work is, or if it's bad or wrong, or if you're taking away someone's agency in doing it all. There's so many misconceptions.
Oh, yes.
So many.
Oh, yes. And everything is energy.
Everything.
And this is one of the things that I love to explore, because when you start feeling into energy and you start slowing down and really feeling into it, it reminds you of this truth, that everything carries a frequency of energy. And it's not just people, it's animals. It's the trees, the plants, the chairs that we're sitting on. Everything is energy. I think it's so important that we explore this topic, because during this awakening process, we're becoming hypersensitive.
Yes.
To energy. And we were talking about how gifts of spirit are natural, that we all have gifts of spirit. It's not just for Jenn and I and a few selected people or whatever. And it's been kind of shamed, and it's been put aside. And for hundreds of years, to the point where we've completely disconnected to the fact that everything is energy. We mistrusted the promptings that we received within ourselves. I mean, a lot of it led to a lot of issues.
Yeah.
It's led to physical problems, emotional, mental problems. But as we all go through this awakening process, we're going to become more aware of energy. And people who feel energy, they call them clairsentient people or clairsentience. And they say that you can feel what someone else is feeling, whether that be emotional or physical. Or mental, you can kind of feel into that energy, but what they're feeling is energy. That is what they're feeling, no matter if it's an emotion or if it's a physical thing that they're feeling or whatever. They're tapping into a frequency, an energy field.
Right.
You know, when I was really, really diving in and waking up to my gifts, one of the first things that I recognized was that, because I was healing myself of my depression, was energy shifts.
Right.
And because I was trying to take accountability of where I was at and be really honest with what I was feeling and using it and healing it and all of that. So the first thing I became aware of was energy shifts. And I would notice that when I started to get back on the path and started to feel better, that I would, let's say, feel really good. I did my meditations, I aligned, I did all the things I needed to do to help me get back to me,
right,
and balance myself. And then I would go to a store.
Oof.
And all of a sudden I would leave and I would feel so bad. It was like, I would feel sad. I'd feel stressed. I'd feel weird sensations in my body that I was picking up on energy that was around me. Right. And then I learned tools from that point on to try to help. And that's why I like the tube of light, because I don't like to, I think shielding is a temporary fix. I think it's better for you to align with the tube of light meditation, because it'll create a natural shield around you by shifting frequency and create a buffer of negative energy, so you're not feeling bombarded with negative energy.
Well, it almost like gives you a space of setting the intention that you are that light instead of you fighting the darkness. There's a different energy connected to it.
That's another one that we could talk about for sure. As medicine women are very aware that everything exists in the universe. What you focus on matters tremendously. In the last episode, we explored the mind and the power of the mind. And the tube of light helps remind you of your own divinity, and it also aligns you with your divine's higher self. So it creates an alignment. It creates a clearing of the chakras, and we're going to go into more of that here in a second. And it changes your perspective and it changes your frequency. And the law of the universe is like attracts like. So the best way to shield yourself from negative energy is to change you. It's to change your energy, my perspective and my energy.
Absolutely.
Which introduced this amazing world of energy work at that time with Reiki. And that's something that we explored during the shamanic training, because you do attunements and energy healings as shamans. But I love to teach Reiki as well, because I feel that it even opens up the faculties even more. And it helps you really understand the energetic body.
Yeah. So in the book, Sage Shaman Healer is a great book. But in that book, it talks a lot about, the first few chapters is a lot about the luminous body. And how when they witnessed a shaman helping someone transition or cross over, they were working with the luminous body or the energy field and helping that individual be able to let go. And I just thought that was so fascinating that, like, in this book, they're talking about literally seeing that luminous field. Body, that auric field. Yeah, right there. I just thought that was so beautiful. So that's a good book. Definitely in that space.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And one of the things that you learn as a shaman is that in order for a shaman to come in and really work with the luminous body and be really effective, you first have to align yourself, because energy affects other energies like a tuning fork. It has an influence, an energetic influence on all energy fields that you come into contact with. This is why we talked about that, energetically, you're not an island. Be aware that, whatever you are carrying is affecting the whole, because that energy sends a ripple effect out.
Yeah, imagine if you're driving in the car and someone's frustrated about directions. Well, it can be very easy for, let's say, the driver is very frustrated about the directions. And then the person in the co-pilot seat, the passenger seat, or even in the back, it can directly affect the whole feeling in the car on this trip. So that's just a simple confined little space. It's very, everyone can know that's a true thing, right? But that is, if you think about not even having the car to like engulf it all, that's how we live life every day.
Yeah. And like on the days when we're feeling really out of alignment, right? And it's like the whole day is chaotic. You're late for your appointments. You hit every red light. You can't find parking. There's like all of these things that happen, right? But those manifestations are in alignment with that energy that you're carrying.
Yeah.
And this is one of the shamanic teachings, is that they believe that we all live in an energetic matrix of reality. Everybody lives in their own energetic reality. And then our energy realities affect energetically the other realities that are bumping against us or merging with our space and our matrix. But that energy that you carry affects what shows up in your matrix or in your reality, just like the movie The Matrix. But it's affecting the reality that shows up for you on your screen. But at the same time, there's always a different way to see things. Everything is perspective. The reason I bring this up is because that's how powerful you are.
Yes.
You are way more powerful than you realize. You are creating the reality that you see every moment of every day. What is more powerful than that?
Nothing.
Right? That is the image of the creator. We are the image of the creator. And so we are co-creating with our creator, but at the same time, our energy is constantly influencing our reality. And then we're also here in a certain dimension that comes with certain experiences in the world of Maya. But at the same time, the way that you perceive a situation really influences the way you experience it. And perception can either create a hell or a heaven for yourself, right?
That's so true.
So energy is just everything. And so I feel like it would be good for us to talk about, kind of just do a review over the energetic body.
So starting in that space, we'll first address what the chakras are. Is obviously this is an ancient modality, an ancient wisdom that's been passed down that you can see throughout different places. But it starts out with 7 energetic points. So we have the top of our head, which is called your crown chakra, which is all about your connection to God, your connection to your higher self, to deity, your connection to spirit in essence.
Yes.
And then we move to the third eye, which is right in between. It's like in between and above a little bit, you could say, between your eyes, like spiritual sight to see, your spiritual wisdom. It's like, I kind of like to view it as like your God eye is what I call it. It's like your way of seeing the divine, seeing all those things within your space. And then we move to our throat chakra, which is all about speaking your truth, honoring your journey, sharing what's coming up. And I find that one can be blocked a lot for a lot of people, is their throat chakra, is maybe they don't feel of worth or of value. And so this is something that someone might literally feel like they have a frog in their throat, or they can't share something, or they feel that lump there. That shows up a lot for people. And then we move to our heart, which is our heart chakra, which is very connected to who it is that we are, our sense of worth. As we've talked about many times, the heart is your connection to heaven and earth. And it's also the bridge between the upper 3 chakras and the lower 3. So I like to view it as like the upper 3 is a lot of spirit, divine guidance, more of a spiritual essence. And your heart is the bridge. It's the connection to the world. And then we go into our solar plexus. And our solar plexus is all about confidence, self-worth, individuality. It's a lot about who we are, how we show up in the world. Then we have our sacral chakra, which is all about creation. It's your creation center, where it's your sexuality, what you're here to create in the world. It's very connected in that space. And then the lower chakra is our root chakra. And this is our connection to the world. It's our stability, it's finances, it's how we move forward with ourselves in the world. And so, as you can see, the upper three are spirit connection. The lower three are how we present ourselves and what we experience in this physical realm. And our heart is the bridge between both.
I love that. And what I was thinking earlier, you were talking about, a lot of people have that throat, that frog in the throat, and they're like, and it's connected to speaking in their truth, they're connected to their worth. And the reason it is that is because the chakras, and gosh, there's so many chakras, but we're gonna keep it to those basic 7 that affect your immediate reality or your matrix.
Yeah.
But those 7 work in partnerships. So like when you're working on someone energetically, through Reiki or energy work, a lot of times you'll find that someone who has a lot of throat issues, or they'll have a feel like a frog in their throat, or sometimes they'll get a tightening and feeling sensation in the throat. Your throat works in partnership with your solar plexus. Mm-hmm. And so your crown chakra works in partnership with your root chakra. Your third eye works in partnership with your sacral chakra, and your throat chakra works in partnership with your solar plexus. It creates an energetic loop. It's a wheel of energy. Mm-hmm. It's a portal, really, a portal of energy. But there is such thing as those portals being too open and too closed.
Well, and even to just get the understanding of the energetic wheel, the chakra, is if you were to put your hand over your head, closing your eyes, covering your eyes, and then if you just pull out, and you can just pulse the energy right in front of your third eye right there. Mm-hmm. You can feel that pulsing. You can feel that. Mm-hmm.
There's temperature that you start connecting into. And that's because there are chakras in the hands as well. And the hand chakra it works in partnership with your heart space. Yeah. And so that's why we give hugs. That's why we create with our hands. Why those things are all connected to the heart center, the seat of the soul, or the bridge between heaven and earth.
Well, and
within you.
Yeah, I love that. And in season 2, episode 1, we talked about the tree of life and the connection there, and how we talked about everything, all different religions, different cultures. We're all saying the same things. There's so much similarity.
The tree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's also the same thing when it comes to your chakras. I listened to this book when we first got started. I went to my favorite health store and I was just drawn to this book, and it's called The Anatomy of the Spirit. Have you listened to that?
Miss.
Yeah. Yes. And in this book, she connects in with Jewish tradition, with Christianity, and with Eastern medicine. How even within Christianity, the different offerings or the different sacraments, the different things that you connect in with are all in tandem to your chakras.
Chakra.
Yeah. Yeah. So she talked about even in the essence of, let's say, tithing, right? Giving up tithing. She connected that in with your solar plexus. And how that's all about trusting or giving yourself permission to trust you as you're giving up your money. You're trusting that you'll be taken care of. So she brings that into balance where it isn't different. We just have different ways that we use it and that we can balance it out. I just thought it was so fascinating.
So cool.
Yeah, it was an amazing book. And I was like, whoa. And it's so in detail with everything that it almost was a lot to handle. I literally had sticky notes, and I was taking notes on the sticky notes and putting them on each page so that I could learn everything that was there, because it was so correlated to Christianity, Eastern medicine. It's just worded totally different.
Just language. Yeah. A lot of times people argue over just language when really they're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing too is like a lot of people who maybe struggle with migraines. We were talking about when we were experiencing depression, or times when we were disconnected to our creativity, those were also times we suffered from more migraines and head issues, which is connected to the third eye. But the third eye is in partnership with your sacral chakra, which is connected with your emotions, with your creativity, and with your sexuality. And a lot of people don't recognize that sensual energy is creative energy. It's a life force energy. If you are not in right relationship with your sexuality, with your sensuality, with your creativity, you don't honor your feelings, you're not your own best friend, and you're creating blocks in that part of that energetic system, not only can it manifest into physical issues, female issues, kidney issues, uterine issues, pregnancy difficulties, and fertility issues, but it can also manifest in headaches and migraines and vision problems.
Oh yeah, it can hit both sides.
It can hit both sides. So as an energy healer, we know this. We know how the energetic system works. So it's like if you're working with one, and even if you didn't know it originally, spirit's going to show you. Like you'll be drawn and notice that the energy currents, if you clear out this and you work on that and move the energy back and forth, you can create a loop of energy that clears out and balances both of those particular chakras that are working in relationship.
Yeah. And when we define an energy healer, it is someone who's helping bring balance to the imbalance in your energetic system.
Yes.
That's a very simple way to put it, but that's essentially what everyone's doing.
Yeah. And in Chinese medicine, they work with these energy systems or energy currents called meridians. In the body. And so when they do acupuncture, they're connecting into these meridians or these energetic pathways or rivers of energy that move through your body that are connected to particular chakras.
I'll tell you, acupuncture is amazing. You'll remember this, when I was in Colorado, I had the worst rash on my leg.
Oh yeah.
Everything I tried all kinds of energy stuff. I went to 3 different Western doctors. They gave me steroids, they gave me cream, and they would always come back. And it was this huge bruise, and then it would just get rashy, and then it would bruise. And it was there probably for about 5 months with no answers. And then finally I was like, I'm going to go do acupuncture. And so I went to a man, and he did acupuncture, and he placed it in my feet, like by my feet, which is so interesting. And I had a couple on my knees. And then when he left, because they let you sit for a little while with that pressure points, and I just felt like there was this river of water just pouring out of my foot. And it was like I could feel it being released.
The energy dam,
yeah. And then after that, I laid in a Himalayan salt bed for 20 minutes. And the next morning I woke up and it was halfway gone. 3 days later, it was completely gone. And I had tried literally every single thing I could have.
Yes. And of course, the feet connects into there are so many, all the meridians actually come to the place of the feet.
People do reflexology, foot zoning, as well as even in your eyes. You can see things balance, like chemical imbalances in the body with your eyes, or even pressure points on your ears. But it's all connected into the meridians.
Yes. And the knees, there's tons of pressure points that connect in with the root chakra. So at times that you're feeling unstable or ungrounded, or there's a lot of change, it may create certain blocks in that root chakra. So it's like being able to tap into those flows where that energy can move and be released. Then all of a sudden it brings balance into the root chakra, not to mention the other ones that he connected in with, probably all of them. And then all of a sudden is opening up this current or this of energy moving through your energetic system in a proper way, which naturally brings the body into balance and alleviates the symptoms that you're experiencing, because it's all connected.
It is.
And, what's so cool is that, all of this energy work and medicine, energy medicine, Chinese medicine, all of these things have been around for hundreds of years, right?
Yes.
But only recently, in the last 50 years or 60 years, do we have tools like Kirlian photography that can actually see the auric field. I could see where maybe some of the chakras need more balancing. They'll give you a complete description. It's so awesome.
Mhm.
But here now we finally have modern technology to prove what has been there, and medicine women and men for centuries have known,
Yeah.
which is energy, that is around our bodies and around everything.
There's a lot of misconception when it comes to energy clearing and healing. But if you think about even in the New Testament, how Christ would just place his hand on someone and they were healed. He was connecting into the energy, the spirit, all of that to be healed.
Yes.
So it's not foreign. It's actually what Christ experienced and he taught.
And he knew how to be aligned, how to create balance in his own field. When you do that and your energy of influence moves into another, if the other one is open, because this is the thing, is that we live in a free will universe.
We do.
And so if someone is coming to you and they are open to be healed, and he's providing that energetic space for that balance to come into your space, to create an energetic imprint or blueprint on your field, then your body, your energetic body, and all the meridians are connected to it, will come into to balance. And so anything that's out of balance that created the element will be removed. So if it's introduced into a frequency and you're open and you're willing to take on that imprint, energetic imprint, it will naturally bring you into balance.
Yes. And I love that you are talking about you being open, because you can never go against someone's will.
Nope.
And that also goes with energy workers, as if they're doing things without someone's permission, it's not as effective. And that's not the point of energy work either.
Absolutely.
So that was a side little note that I'm like, oh, we got to talk about that.
Oh, I'm so glad you did, because this is the potential of what we can do.
Yeah.
Now, I have personally experienced this, where I worked with a dear friend of mine who broke her tailbone during childbirth. Ouch. When she was pushing the baby out. It created excruciating pain.
Yeah.
So for months after childbirth, she still had to sit on one of those donut things and traumatized.
That just like makes shivers through my whole body. I'm
yes.
Like,
yes.
Ouch.
So she came to me for energy work, and we did shamanic work and journeying. And we did this really powerful journey called the dismemberment journey.
Oh, I love that journey.
Yeah. And we were able to also do some soul retrieval work and help her understand. But when we did the dismemberment journey that particular day, she left healed.
Wow.
She got up and she's like, I don't feel any, that's weird. That was the first, she's like, it was like something she just noticed all of a sudden, like, wait a minute, where's my pain? And she got up, she went to the doctor, had the x-rays. Her tailbone was completely healed. The doctor's like, I can't explain it.
That's amazing.
Because not only was it broken, but it was severed completely. They thought they'd have to go in and reattach through surgery the tailbone. And she's like, what have you done? She's like, I just went to my friend, my healer, and stuff. He's like, well, whatever you did, it worked, because I can't explain this.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. But that is what's natural. We are all energy, and really our bodies are mutable. They're almost like mold, like an energetic mold. You can actually shift the energy of your field. You can heal your body. And what's so awesome too, is that future technology is being introduced. This is what science is exploring, merging with quantum physics and everything else, are the possibilities of light and sound and frequency to be able to heal someone.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's what you're working with when you work with an energy worker. You're working with light and frequency and sound, which is energy.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, the chakras, they show up as a different color because they have a different job. They have certain areas that they're focusing in on your field. So they have a certain color and sound and frequency. And a lot of times energy workers can use sound and they can use light, as well as their hands and their bodies, to create shifts on these fields as well. So the potential is limitless to what is possible. And this is something that we all can have access to And so it's so exciting. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about in one of our future episodes we've been really exploring lately is the power of sound healing. Mm-hmm. And we have a dear friend that is wanting to use her voice to help shift frequency in the chakras. And she's also one of our students and dear friends, Reiki master teacher, shaman. And she uses her voice during Reiki. And people can use, tuning forks and sound bowls and everything, but everything is energy. Mm-hmm. And so it's just resonance, going to a certain frequency that creates balance in your energetic body and field. And the auric field outside of you, your aura is huge. And a lot of people don't realize how big their auric field is.
Yeah.
And this means your energetic influence.
Well, you also talk about as a little kid, don't touch my energy bubble or get out of my energy bubble. Yes. Don't be in my bubble.
Don't be in my space.
Yeah.
My space. Well, what is this space?
It's your aura.
Yeah. Like even unconsciously, we have been very aware of our space, right?
Yeah. We just haven't put it in energetic or spiritual terms.
Right. And around your body, people who are really opening up clairvoyantly, if you have someone sit or stand up against like a neutral colored wall, like this kind of color would be great for aura practice and clairvoyance practice. But right immediately around the body, you'll see this little white glow line that's just immediately outside of the body. And this is called the etheric double. That's actually the spirit body you journey in. And you can cultivate all its faculties. And when we're doing journey work, we're saying, what do you see, feel, this and that? You're actually strengthening your etheric double.
It's interesting because you just think that your spirit is inside of your body, but it's actually inside and outside your body.
Yes. It is
very fascinating. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I just never put those two together. That's really cool.
And then outside of the layer that's right outside that etheric double is where people start to see color. And that is the emotional body. The emotional body is connected to your personality, things, your likes and dislikes, your gifts, your emotions, like what you're feeling at the time. And you're going to see a dominant color, because even though you can feel other things and you'll see an influence of those colors coming in, but there'll be a dominant color. And that dominant color gives insight into someone who's looking at and say, I know that you must like da 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 da.
So you see color.
Sometimes I do.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that. So that's really cool.
I think, and this is the thing though, is you can see it in your mind. And a lot of times we talked about this with clairvoyance, that it's not just seeing with your physical eyes, because I've been talking about more physical because it can show up on your screen. But technically we don't have, they're called rods and cones at the back part of your eye anatomy. They're these rods and cones is what they call them, but they're only able to capture certain frequencies of light. And the band of light and things that can show up in that band is pretty narrow.
Right.
There's so many other colors, so many other frequencies outside of this particular band, but our physical vehicles are unable to even pick up those frequencies. So even if you are seeing it, you think through your eyes, you're really seeing it
through
your third eye, and it's creating an imprint on your matrix screen, but it's not truly being seen by your eyeballs and never will be. It's not.
I was like, wow.
There would have to be a major DNA shift that would create different kinds of rods and cones in our anatomy to pick up different rays of light. But that is not something that the physical eye is capable of.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people that are like, well, I don't see anything. And then they think they're not psychic. And it's like, actually, if you're getting any kind of image, like if you're getting a flash, a picture, a symbol, that's all clairvoyance.
Well, even just this weekend, I had a woman come over for a session, and she had felt very disconnected from her son who had passed. But she had mentioned something about her grandkids being out on a swing with him or filling him around and like communicating and laughing with him. And she was like, was that really him? But as we were speaking, and I said, well, did you see that in your mind? And she said, every time I think about it, I can see exactly what it would look like. And I said, well, that's your connection to spirit. That is your confirmation. Is a lot of times your third eye, seeing things psychically, is imagination. So that would make sense that you see color in that same space that you imagine as a child. There's no difference. Even when I have sessions, I never see someone physically in my room, but it's like you see it in your mind. You see it as like literally like an imagination, but it's truth. So that would make sense.
And they're in science is even saying that this happens so quickly. It's faster than what we can measure as far as time, but that we feel things before we see them. And so something will manifest in front of us as an image or it appears solid, but in truth, we felt the energetic imprint first, and then it showed up in our reality.
That makes sense.
So even that, and it's happened so fast that we don't recognize it, but it's true. Right. It's just the way the brain works, the way our vision works, the way everything works. I took this amazing class at during college called Sense and Perception. And it addressed that sometimes you don't even see things because you don't think that it's possible. And so it won't show up in your reality. But in truth, it was there all along. It's just that you weren't open to it. Yeah. And the third layer beyond the mental body is the causal body.
The causal.
They call it the causal. And this is really that connection into the spiritual aspects, the spiritual layers of your auric field. It kind of holds the blueprints of your soul mission and the things that you're here to accomplish and to share. And so a lot of times Akashic information will be held within the causal body, energetic body. So what's really neat about doing energy sessions is that our bodies, because our energy bodies are, like I was telling you, they're mutable or they move. They can be, it's almost like pottery. You can shape them into different shapes or images or whatever. But one of the techniques they had about in Reiki is not only will you feel, and you've got this energetic body, but you'll visualize that your fingers are stretching way out. And then you feel around with intention the energetic body or the layers, and you can feel into energetically the layers of the energy field. And so I will do this when I'm working on someone. I'll do like the basic hand positions and basic positions at first to get me going, even though sometimes spirit won't allow me to go all the way through because they'll tell me to do things and move things and shift it. And then at the second half of that session, I usually focus on what is it that needs to be removed, or what areas do I need to focus on more? Where do I need to work on these partnership, these energetic, the chakras and their partnership and the way they work with each other? And then I will use that stretching technique of stretching my energetic fingers and then reaching and feeling around the auric field is to feel if there are any tears or holes in the energetic body, which can happen. Which makes you energetically susceptible to tag along energies.
Yes.
And that can be very draining because it's like an energetic parasite in a sense. And so really healing those layers and creating a healthy membrane of energy. Once you start doing that and you have this energy current moving through the system, it just keeps expanding your auric field.
Interesting.
And the bigger your auric field is, the healthier it is, the more vitality you experience, and the more magnetic you are for drawing in abundance and prosperity in your life.
Yeah, because I remember even you talking about in our sessions about sexual energy and creative energy, and how that has direct correlation to a lot of autoimmune diseases.
Yes.
Where your energy or your aura is so depleted that it's so small that your body starts to pick up on it. And so that makes sense, is the bigger that it is, the healthier that it is, the more vitality, the more abundance, the more you can incorporate everything in that space too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've noticed that in particular fibromyalgia. It's so painful, you know, it's so painful to live like that. And But when I felt it energetically, what's been happening is that etheric double is flat as a pancake. There's like no buffer for the nervous system. And that etheric double creates a buffer for the nervous system so it doesn't feel overstimulated. And it's painful when it's overstimulated. I mean, anyone who's experienced nerve damage or anything like that, it takes forever to heal if it ever does.
Right.
I had nerve damage in my when I had what do you call an implant for one of my not wisdom teeth, it was one of the bigger teeth in the back. When they did that, when they put the screw in, they tapped into a nerve, and then all of a sudden it created nerve damage, and it numbed this whole part of my face, from my jaw to my whole lip to this part. Like to this day, I can't feel that.
Wow.
It's numb all the way over to here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was really weird to live with that at first. But as that nerve damage was happening, it felt like snaps, like rubber band snaps on my face. It was so painful. Fibromyalgia, they feel it all the time.
Wow.
And so when I work with someone energetically, what I'm doing is I'm creating an energetic buffer. I'm refilling energy into that etheric double. And usually it's caused from tears in the energetic system. And so it's really working on that energetic system, working on the chakras, bringing in more light and buffering energy in the auric field. And every single person I've ever worked on has walked up pain-free.
That's so
and
amazing.
What's interesting though, is that down the road, it starts to come back, and when that happens, then there's some kind of soul agreement here. There's some kind of contract with it. And that is when I usually invite people to go on a deeper level and say, well, keep working on it energetically to relieve pain, of course. But I would also do some journeying to explore the soul contracts, maybe do some akashic journeying and understand what is this agreement that this person has with this particular illness. So maybe they can go to the root cause, and sometimes just bringing awareness will shift it.
Absolutely.
So, or maybe there's a direct purpose for it, that's going to help them find purpose and direction in a certain area to help other people who are like, there's agreements that we have with certain things that lead us down certain roads.
Yeah.
And that's a possibility. But anytime that I've explored that with people, not only does it relieve suffering, but it also gives people direction. Like all of a sudden it's like they know the direction, the energy, or the purpose of which they have this particular thing, and they're able to really dive into that purpose and feel empowered by it, as opposed to feeling disempowered.
As we are experiencing this multidimensional being in physical form, we're experiencing it in spirit, communicating to our spirits and the higher power, as well as we're experiencing it on an energetic level. And so one thing that I love that you taught me is activating your luminous body. So your luminous body is your aura. And as a healer or doing work or in that space, it's always extremely powerful when you activate your luminous body and you clear it. It's like you're saying, okay, I want to be in my aura. I want my aura to help, and I'm going to clear it. So we start bringing our hands from the bottom of our body up to our third eye and then extending it out while breathing. And then imagining this metallic white color, just this water filling up our bubble and then releasing, and then filling it and releasing till it's clear. But that has changed how I do my work. It is powerful, but it's like we're activating our aura instead of it just hanging out there. It's like we're intentional with what we're going to be pursuing in our aura, and it brings so much more healing.
Yes. And one of the things that you're doing when you draw that energy up, you're drawing energy up from Pachamama. And a lot of people don't realize that one of the gifts that Pachamama has for us is the gift of revitalization of our physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. And so you can draw on her energy. And when you're drawing up and activating, you're drawing up that energy up the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, throat, and then activating that energy, putting that energy out into your energetic body and filling it up. And what this does is it revitalizes your whole energetic system. It almost like lights it up. And it helps not only help your chakras come to balance and help prepare you for doing healing work, but it has a revitalizing effect on the physical body. It can actually heal free radical damage to the physical body. It can make you
Wow.
appear younger. It can heal your body. There's a lot of things that we can use with this energy to help our bodies experience more vitality. And it's all just energy. It's just the way you use the energy, and it's being aware of the energy, using it for the right reasons, using it for service, using it to heal yourself and others, the planet. It's all about that intention, that power of intention. That power of intention is what moves it. The power of intention and energy, emotion is what moves the energy.
Which makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also in that space is when you're exploring your energetic body, your spiritual body, all of that. It also can help you explore your multi-dimensional self, which is so powerful because we are more than just this physical form, which I've said time and time and time again. But we can actually explore who we were, who we are, explore those universal truths about our innate self. And that's our given right to be able to do that. And it's not bad or wrong. It's just giving us a deeper understanding of who our spirit truly is.
Yes. You know, when the Lord said that scripture, in my Father's house, there are many mansions.
Yes.
Whenever he says that, I feel that what he's saying to me is in creation, there are many dimensions. And it's all based, again, off of frequency or energy.
Yeah.
And so and one of the things that you learn through journey work, and, this is your spirit self exploring your multidimensional reality, like what you were saying. It's going places, putting your conscious awareness into a different frequency or a different dimension. What you find is that you have access to not only the different dimensions, but also the past, present, and future. And a lot of people have talked about how you can explore past lifetimes. And if people are open to that, I would highly recommend you explore this.
I was a skeptic and I'm a believer.
Yeah.
And I will advocate for that 100%.
100%. But as you find out during your journey work too, is that even in the present reality that we all live, there are multiple timelines.
Yes.
And people talk about quantum leaping, and there's other terms that people talk about, timelines, or what is the highest timeline, or shifting frequency, the highest timeline, which means that there are multiple endless outcomes for every given situation, but they all depend on frequency. They all depend on energy. So when you're aligned with your highest self and you're attuned, which that tube of light meditation helps with that, you are aligning with the highest timeline of your reality.
Yeah. Well, because if you think about being in a very low space, you can feel the low density. Whereas when you're on this high vibration, when things are going well, when you're excited, you literally feel like a different person. You're experiencing the world differently, but you could also be shifting this dimensional space within.
Yes. I've had some pretty interesting experiences with this quantum leaping energy, or
you have had some
timelines.
Stuff.
Yeah. And wow, that's a whole show. But I'll narrow it down to like one story. So I was walking this beautiful trail, and I've shared this, and you've had similar experiences over at the Donut Falls Trail. Now, we have done this walk many times, and I used to take my kids there because it's such a fun trail to go on. And it's great exercise, but it's not too long, like it's, a nice balance,
perfect balance.
for families. And you get to this waterfall, and they call it Donut Falls because it has this rock that has a hole in it, like a donut. And then the water goes through the middle. And so a lot of people like to climb around it. Of course, there's been lots of accidents because of that as well. But one thing is so interesting about this trail is that it seems to be, and it's probably because this is on an energetic ley line, because not only do we have energetic bodies,
Yes, I love you talking about
but
this.
Mother Earth has an energetic body, and there are ley lines or meridians, and there's chakras on the Mother Earth, just like
There are.
us. So what I think is happening in this particular trail is we're on a ley line. The veil is very, very thin there.
That makes sense.
Very thin. And so if you are in a meditative state, there are certain things that can show up for you,
which we both have seen separately.
Yeah. At separate occasions, the same thing, which I think is incredible.
I
Again,
do
a
too.
miracle, right? In itself.
I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
but oh, it's so powerful.
Yeah. So my sons were running up ahead of me, and I go around this corner, and there's a particular place where you go up over a corner, and then it comes down, and then it goes over this wooden bridge in the trees. It's like a tiny meadow where it goes down, like an opening in the trees. It's the best way I can explain it. But I was going around the corner, and over on the left on the corner was this massive tree. It looked like a huge sequoia or redwood tree, kind of, because it had the same kind of bark and everything else, red, deep, and deep grooves in the bark. But there was a face on this tree trunk, and it looked like it had its eyes closed. It had a big old knobby nose, and it had a slight smile. It was very serene, and it was as real as anything that is here. And it was so real that I reached out and I put my hand on the face, so I felt it. And it didn't move, and it didn't change, and it was here, solid. Okay.
Isn't that so interesting? Because when I experienced it, we were walking by pretty quick. It was with my young women's, and I was like, that tree looks like it's smiling, like it has a face. And then everyone's like, let's take a picture. But we were like taking a picture on the bridge. So I was like, it has a face. It looks like it's smiling. So then we went up there, we sat in the water, we played, and then we came back. I'm like, to my friend Bethany, I'm like, you have to see this tree. And when we came back, it was gone.
It's gone.
And she was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I guess I just made it up. But then you were telling me about this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Candace, I have seen that tree.
Yes, exact same spot. And I did the same thing where my kids were running ahead, and they were little. And of course, as a mother, it's like, okay, you got to go after your kids. You can't get, and you try to get them to come to you, and they don't. Right. So I'm like, come back, and so I'm going after my kids. I'm like, I'm going to come back to this tree and show the kids. Same thing, came back to it, and the whole tree is not there. Like the corner even looked different, like it wasn't the same. There was trees back there, but they were like aspens mixed with regular pine, smaller pine trees. Like the whole big tree was not even there.
Different. Yeah.
And so every time I go back to that tree, I'm always looking for that tree. Yeah. But the time I found it, I was very relaxed. I was in a meditative, peaceful place, and there was a frequency shift. I think that we just shift into the elemental kingdom. We were able to see things that are always there, but depending on frequency, either feel it or experience it. And mind you, if you're not feeling it, because you feel energy before things show up physically. So in resonance, if you're not resonating with it, you're not in that frequency, you're not going to feel it. And then it's not going to show up in your reality. You have to change your frequency. And then it can be as real and solid as anything. It can be here.
Absolutely.
And I've had many other things happen, and I've told you about, but I know this to be true. It's not like some idea that's in my mind that I haven't experienced. I've experienced things as real as anything else.
It's so powerful.
And it's so powerful.
And that goes back into our last podcast, the power of your mind. Is when you're mindful, is when you have a healthy balance between all four elements. We can become more mindful and fully experience our multidimensional self. We can have healing happen. We can be a part of healing taking place. Like, we're not separated from any of that. We just forget. We so easily forget, but it is who we are. And I have loved this conversation. And I love even knowing that we can shift our reality. We can shift the dimensions in which we're living here now. And that's so powerful. The last thing I want to say is, in this book, Dying to Be Me by Anita Moorjani. Have you listened to that?
No, but I think I remember you mentioning it before.
Oh, okay. She was diagnosed with cancer. And a lot of it was her rejecting herself. So her body rejected her. I listen to this book twice a year.
Wow.
Twice a year I listen to it because it's so amazing. But she has a near-death experience. And as she's crossed over, she sees herself in like a third world country with her brother, but she and the brother had switched roles. Like one was older in this lifetime than in that one, but it was going on at the same time. And she was floored because in her culture, that wasn't a thing.
Yep.
And so there's so many people who have experienced different altered realities, different things. And so I hope this just sparked a little bit of joy inside of you to be like, we have so much more to us. And energy clearing, energy healing is just one facet that is so innately within us. It's just trusting that power and using that medicine, because it can be extremely powerful if it's used in the right way.
Awesome. Yes. So I hope you enjoyed our episode today as we explored energy and the energy body and the dimensions and everything else.
So fun.
And I'm looking forward to some of our future episodes, because we're going to kind of take this to the next level. And we're going to be talking about sound healing and light healing and doing all of the different modalities that can come from energy medicine.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like this is going to be integrated in future technology.
I do too.
I really do. So I'm excited about our future. We're in the age of the golden age of miracles, as the Course in Miracles says. And for watching Modern Sages, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We are so grateful for your support. If you want to follow us, we have an Instagram account as well as on Facebook. We have our podcast, which is the Modern Sages podcast as well.
And we are so excited to launch our Gifts of Spirit classes in our Modern Sages Mystery School.
Absolutely. Oh, we're so excited. So we're going to link the information below in the show notes for more information about our mystery school.